listen to Iceman, Juliet? Oh, no, you don't. AC Bell, Billy Boy, Greg. Thanks always for praying for me, Greg. Spam, Pam, Sparkling. This is the Yellow Jackets singing Revelation. The lyrics are about, I used to go to church all day and be bored. Take Six sang this song. I was in church all day and I wondered what my friends used to think about me. But now take me back, 'cause I have revelation. Yay, Twitter, revelation is here. And here's the lyrics, ready? I'm so glad his revelation is here. I'm so glad his revelation is here. You want a treat? Look up Take Six singing Revelation with the Yellow Jackets. I'm so glad his revelation is here. Or just Take Six Revelation. Come on, come on. Woo! I was in the revival of Brownsville. Some of the best players in the world are in our black churches, man. We had a multicolored revival in Brownsville, and they had players like this. Yeah. Here we come. We're probably going to get a solo. Yeah, organ solo. Come on. Oh. This is to make you happy. And then I'm going to give you something to fill your heart with courage. Hey, Darren. If you're on Facebook, message me. Oh, here, bass solo. Come on, bass solo. This is a song about being in church all day and wondering what my friends would think until Revelation came. Take Six sang this. It's called Revelation. Treat yourself. Bum, 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 bum. And the chorus goes, I'm so glad his revelation is here. Come on, I'm so glad his revelation is here. Wow. Man, when you hang out like this, you worship like this, it's hard to be worried. When a bass player can talk like this, come on. Saxophone, it's gonna be worth it. Just enjoy it, man. Lift your spirits, man. Revelation is here. Come on, you can all play air saxophone. Bread maker. Share. Hey, you guys, they took all my followers off of Periscope. Share me, follow me. This all says, yes, this all says, I love you, God. I love you, God. I'm rejoicing. Let's see. I remember the day when I was in church all time, and I wondered what my friends used to think about me. Remember the time when Sunday school felt like it lasted so very long, but not anymore. I got rev now. Come take me back. Bread maker. Yeah, headphones at work. You got a job. Haven't you heard that? Revelation is here. I'm so glad. Take me back. And then you heard that. Revelation is here. Come take me back where I come from, 'cause haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard that? Revelation. Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? Come on, haven't you heard, brothers and sisters? Come on, come on. Can I get an amen? Haven't you heard? Whoa, come on. Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? Come on. Boom, boom. Yes, can I get, come on, brothers and sisters? Yes. Something's happening. Something's breaking loose. It's time. The glory's falling. Come on. Come on. This saxophone player is playing in tongues, okay? He's playing in tongues right now. Haven't you heard that revelation is here, here, here? It's here. Revelation is here. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't even know that was going to happen today, but I'm telling you, come on. Treat yourself, YouTube it or whatever, buy the Take 6 album where they sing Revelation. You will just sparkle in your little skin, will be so all over it. And I will just play gorgeous yellow jackets in the background. Guys, you know what? Dave, Praying Medic, got on here a couple of scopes ago and said, hey, I had to refollow you. And I went, oh, that's interesting. That's nice. I really don't pay much attention to metrics and stuff. Well, you guys, I went on Periscope yesterday, and I had close to 1,400 followers, and now I have 123. Like, it took me a year and a half, almost 2 years to get 1,100, 1,200 followers. I'd go in, when I was watching, I was thinking, I want to make 1,000. That'll be really fun. Not that it changes anything. It's just fun, right? I remember the day I hit 1,000. Wow, it was months and months and months. And now last time I checked, I had 123. And you knew who else was bumped way down? Mary Grace has just a few hundred now. And Andrea, I didn't know how many she had, but that's way down. Greg, I checked yours. You were at 4,000 yesterday. I mean, I'm just little Julie Louder from Bakersfield, California, trying to cheer you all up and teach you how to be courageous as I learn. Somehow, I guess that might be a threat. I don't know. Maybe they're dealing with everybody who shares in a group. Thanks, Iceman. But here's the deal. You're going to have to refollow all the people you care about. You're going to have to share and refollow like crazy just to say, read between the lines, censors. I mean, I don't know that it matters. I feel like God's going to get us where we need to go. It's not about the pat on the back and the followers and trying to be relevant. It's just really weird, that it could take you 2 years or whatever to build something up, and then with the flip of a liberal switch. Anyways, they're jealous of our joy, that's right. So today I want to talk to you about 1's and 0's. 1's and 0's. Binary, yes, no, on, off, all, nothing. And how sometimes the enemy uses our desire and our willingness to move to get us in a 1-0 mentality that actually can create a lot more anxiety. Okay, so let me just try to tell you what I mean. That is crazy, Greg. It's really crazy. So check your followers, Greg. You still had like 4,000 something or other. Little old me, 123. But it's the Julie 123. Okay, so you were at 16. Oh, snap! You're 1/4. Oh, snap. Oh, that's crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. It's not going to stop us, though, is it? Okay, so here's my thing. A lot of us have backed away from the playing field because we were trained over the last 30, 40, 50 years to be nice, quiet, to go away, to lose gracefully, to be intimidated. Some of us were of a generation of people that were taught that being nice was everything. So conflict avoidant, assuming that authority figures, affirmed our values, we could just kind of play nice with everybody in the sandbox. Meanwhile, a radical revolution is taking place in the 60s and unseating everything, and these people are terrifying us all with a really radical approach. And I remember throughout the whole thing, we thought, that's so far out, no one will ever accept that. See, they're just so crazy. When you saw, people marching naked in parades and doing sex acts in parades and screaming about stuff and changing this, that, the other thing, we all sat back and went, oh, that'll just burn right out, right? Well, we'll just, that's just so weird. The rest of us with stability and just old-fashioned values, we'll so we were being taught to avoid conflict, because remember, they would come out with severe bullying language then when people started even to speak up, right? And so we just made this assumption that everyone could see what we saw, that this is crazy, even with abortion, that used to be that it was safe and rare. That was their thing. We want it safe and rare. Well, now it's, let's have a party for your abortion, right? Let's celebrate that, right? So you can see what happened. We got quieter and quieter, nicer and nicer, more and more intimidated. They got more and more radical, and they never moved off the radical position. And so they had time to learn how to do this and to get good at it, while we were being taught to go away and be quiet, right? And so now that we're learning the art of risk, the art of challenge, the art of saying, no, I'm not going to live like this. I refuse to let fear control my state. I will not be controlled by fear. I may feel uncomfortable feelings, but I refuse to allow fear to be the paradigm from which I work and how I make my decisions. I am choosing, therefore, to act out of truth and teach myself how to be courageous, right? We should absolutely pray for the characteristics of God, the courage and the boldness, but you do realize that courage doesn't come by sitting back and waiting till you feel courageous. Courage doesn't come when you prayed enough so that all of a sudden you feel different about it. Courage comes in the action of taking the courageous move, right? Overcoming fear doesn't happen when you go home and pray until you feel okay about something and then you deal with it. You can go into the prayer room and experience the peace of God, right? But that is never a substitute for the activity of dealing with the thing. And I'm going to tell you that even when you experience the peace of God in the prayer room and the affirmation and the infusion of grace or strength or courage, there will always be that super uncomfortable, nerve-wracking moment when you have to deal with it. And it won't feel good. Even if you've experienced the peace, even if you know you have it, the courage and the fear-free living will not come in the moment where we're back waiting for it to get okay. That's like saying, I'm only going to pray for the sick if God tells me to, specifically about that person first. When he's already told us, go pray for the sick. He's already told us not just to pray for them, to heal them. He's told us to heal them and not just pray for them. He's told us not to mess around and bind demons. He's told us to cast them out. That means there's a reality for us to be able to do that because he said so, and not because we feel any differently about what's in front of us. We're so convinced by what we see that we think, well, I tried to deal with that demon, but I didn't have authority. Or I prayed for this person, but they didn't get any better. The paradigm is not try, the paradigm is do. I think that's a Yoda thing. It is not to try, it is to do. That's the paradigm we're moving into, is not the trying, not the passivity of being in the prayer room, not that prayer is passive, but you know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of our default. The paradigm is do. There is no try, there is only do, right? And when we go and we do, we can leave the results to him, but we can say, based on your authority, I have done it the way Jesus did it. I'm listening, I'm walking, I'm obeying. I've done the do, right? Got to go do the do. Okay, well, so now we're in the thing of of some of us in the body of Messiah will be in the charities and in the compassion ministries, working with the elderly, working with the infirm, working with the sick, doing the distancing, doing the masks, doing the this and that, because they're working with a traumatized people group, maybe in the ICU, maybe an elderly population, maybe people around them that can't handle, that are so fear-filled that they need to see you in a mask. There are people in the body of Christ that are ministering there, and that is their risk. That is their love. And so they're encouraging us in those environments to show love for people who could be vulnerable by us being careful not to be in proximity to them if we could carry something, correct? That's their ministry. I believe I carry healing, so that's the only dangerous thing about me. But be as it may, some in the body of Christ are dealing with highly traumatized population centers. I honor that. Some of us are the ones who are going to stand up for constitutional rights and say, I don't need the government's permission to meet. I don't need my governors, and I don't need my government's permission to meet. I don't. And they don't have any right to tell me to wear a mask, a mouth burqa. They don't have any right to do that. I may choose to do that. I may research and decide that's what I do. Correct. So whether it's that or whether it's the good for you, Patricia, I imagine that you have that compassionate heart where you're really trying to protect them, and I applaud that, right? Some of us need to be the lady in the salon in Texas, right? And so we're now learning to not be risk averse. We're learning to speak out. We're learning to confront. We're learning to deal with things. Okay, so if you're like me, I tend to go 0 to 100. If it's right, I just like, okay, then I set up a false duality for myself that if I'm going to be courageous and I'm going to do something spectacular for God, it's always got to be a 1 or a 0. And it is true that there's obedience, disobedience. Oh, check out this bass player. Sax. Oh my gosh. We missed the bass solo there, but he'll come back around, I'm sure. Nothing like the Yellow Jackets. Okay, so what I want to say is sometimes if Satan can't get you to avoid the playing field, he'll get you to rush up like you're the quarterback when maybe you're the tight end. I do. Just call me tight end, baby. The thing is that, and I don't know anything about football, but I do know there's a tight end and I do know there's a quarterback. Don't think that your risk has to jump to star player level, because the enemy will use that to bait you into battles and into risk levels that perhaps you don't need to deal with. Risk, I believe God is teaching and training us. Here he is again. Let's see who this bass player is. Because this is the Yellow Jackets. I should know this. But you know, I'm not one of these people who like obsesses over details. Why is that a detail? That's pretty important. I can find out. Hey, look, they have the Yellow Jackets. Look, see those autographs? Yeah. The bottom line is there he is, Jimmy Haslip. Come on, Jimmy Haslip. Jimmy Haslip. Come on. Okay. So what happened to David? Let's jump back here. David met Goliath. Did he meet Goliath out of nowhere? Did he go to 1 to 0, 0 to Goliath? Did he go 0 Goliath? Or no, he didn't. We know that because he said, Cascade, so you want to be quarterback. Good. We see here that David said, I slew the lion, I slew the bear. What are you, oh uncircumcised Philistine? What are you, uncircumcised Philistine, to stand against the armies of God? Huh? You have a lion to slay, and a bear to slay, and a Goliath to deal with in your life. And you'll have, like little David, tons of time playing with your slingshot, going after frogs and marmots and whatever else is in the Judean desert. So depending on how you, maturity-wise, where you're at, God's given you a slingshot. He's given you skills and talents, and he's saying increase your capacity for risk. Increase your capacity for risk. And don't let Satan beat you up because you're not at Goliath yet, okay? And don't assume God needs you to go to Goliath yet. Don't assume you're that the only courageous people are the Dietrich Bonhoeffers, okay? And the Corrie ten Booms. Don't assume that, because Satan can shame us into taking on more than maybe God is even asking us to in a moment. You can assess risk and say, one thing I won't do is be passive. I will not be passive. I will make a difference. I will take a stand. And I'm moving up to Goliath level in my risk, but it's not a 1 or a 0. It's a 1 or a 0 in the sense that it's either obedience or disobedience. It's either fear or fear-free. Choice every day. Fear or love. Fear or love. And love casts out fear, right? But when we're on the way to Goliath, I really believe that we can stop and not allow Satan to threaten us and shame us if we're not heading straight for the 6 foot, not 12 foot guy. Now, some of us will. Some of us will bump into some Goliaths we're surprised we're dealing with, and we'll find ourselves in bigger situations than we ever imagined. But I'm still going to say that there's been a preparation in process. I'm dealing with a Goliath here, and I'm really mad, and I want to, part of me goes, let's go get him. And I'm looking at the risk, and I'm looking at the cost, and I'm looking at all, and I was starting to feel really shamed and really anxious, at least enough that like I was like, I don't do this. Where's this coming from? So here's a tip. You can pull back and you can educate yourself. You can say, as far as it is, as for me and my house, we serve the Lord. As for me and my house, the 0 and the 1 is I'm obedient. I'm not going to avoid risk. I'm going forward. But you might be starting with a smaller level of conflict and risk, and it might be really important. So just because you aren't at Goliath level yet doesn't mean you don't have a role to play, and doesn't mean that you aren't valid and valuable and you aren't in training. And sometimes we can fight a far more significant battle in wisdom, as long as it's not in avoidance. I mean, who's this sax player? I'm sorry, I gotta tell you the sax player. Bob Mincer, of course that's Bob Mincer. Bob Mincer. Come on, Bob. Okay. As long as if our avoidance is calculated, saying there's more than one way to skin this cat. I'm not running from God. I'm not running from the call to grow, the call to risk, the call to move out of self-protection. I am moving into greater risk. I'm moving into greater obedience and influence, right? So don't let Satan bait you into something, but don't go back and hide under your bed either. And say, Lord, this is a yes, but I want to do it your way, your timing, and your level of impact. Because one of the things that he is masterful at is when something goes awry in the midst of a battle, Satan likes to come back and personalize it and shame us and pick on us for not doing it exactly right and exactly perfect. That's one of the fallouts when you step into ministry and when you step into risk and you get used to risking. If you get backlash and you're a sensitive type of person, usually the first way the enemy will attack you back is by questioning how you did it. Did you do it just right? And then you go into shame and like, oh my gosh, I offended so-and-so and I should have done it differently. And if I really loved Jesus and I was really smart, right? Right? For me, that's always the one I have to go, well, screw that. I'm sorry. If God wanted a perfect vessel, he wouldn't have picked humans to work with, right? And again, his principle is if you're acting on commander's intent in the body of Christ, if you're acting on commander's intent, and what's commander's intent? Preach the gospel to all creation. That's a go word. You don't have to wait for a word of knowledge. Heal the sick, not try to heal the sick. Heal the sick. So we're figuring that out. We're doing it. Commander's intent, cast out demons, not just bind demons, not just avoid demons, not just talk about authority. Do we have enough authority? No. Cast out demons, trample on serpents and scorpions. If you have to deal with poison and snakes, you're gonna be okay. They're not gonna harm you, man. And so we have commander's intent. So we can learn to risk into that constantly. What am I doing now to be a person who brings the gospel to all creation? What am I doing right now to be a person who heals the sick? Go set up settings where you can pray for sick people. I just heard about someone whose wife has been in a vegetative state. And in the olden days, I would have just gone, that must be tough. I'll just pray for that person to get through it. Now my plan is, let's make an appointment. Let's go over. Let's get our hands on that lady. Let's go pray. Let's do it. Let's do this thing. Let's see her raised up. Do I know how to do it? No, but I have commander's intent. I've learned into that risk. I've leaned into that risk. I've practiced getting to that level. I don't know that I've practiced seeing that level of healing yet, but I'm practicing. I'm going in. I'm expanding. I'm not all, but I'm claiming the faith to raise the dead, right? To do all those things. We're learning, we're practicing, we're developing, we're increasing, we're stretching wide our tent pegs to the right and to the left, into the risk and into the rulership, right? Okay, so when you risk, which you must and I must do that, we still have the capacity to pull back and say, I have commander's intent. Commander's intent is that I should not be afraid about anything, that I should constantly increase kingdom order. I'm a patriot, so I need to claim my rights. I need to hold my government accountable. I already have intent. I already know what I need to do, right? And then if you're in a compassion ministry, I already know I got to serve the poor and lay down some of my preferences over here to help this people group or that people group, right? But the thing of it is that in the midst of all that, don't let the devil make you anxious and shamed because you're not at Goliath level yet. You're heading there. You have choices to make. Your deepest influence might be coming around from a different way. It's still a risk for you. It's still a step forward. It still makes you healthfully uncomfortable. You still could have some backlash, right? And you're pressing in and you're going forward. Your only 1 and 0 is obedience and love versus fear and passivity. That's our 1 and 0. But we don't have to jump all the way into, getting arrested at a beach. I'm going to guarantee you that the people who are doing that have had some level of preparation in their life, and there's something that got them ready for those things. And we should be getting ready for those things. We should be getting ready for those more deep, important risks. But some of the most important risks might be interpersonal, might be actually sitting across from someone who is really in pain, and you're risking into a very tricky situation to offer healing to them and to share the gospel with them. That might feel like Goliath level risk to you, right? So, do you get what I'm saying? Sometimes if Satan can't keep you from being on the battlefield, he'll want to tell you got to run to the front, but you got to go in there without your armor on, right? Or without your preparation. I was telling the Lord, I said, look, it's not a question of me obeying or not obeying or doing or not doing. The question is that I want to have clarity in this particular situation that I know I'm at the level I need to be at, that I'm doing it in a wise way, so that when the pushback comes, I will stand in, but this is what the Lord showed. This is, I'm on assignment. This is what I did. I sought you. This is what we did. This is what, right? Now, there are times when just in the course of our life, again, we don't need a word of knowledge to preach the gospel, heal the sick, or cleanse the lepers. We want to constantly be in conversation with the Holy Spirit for intel. What I'm saying, in some of these areas where we're bumping up our risk, we're always in conversation with our Father, aren't we? So I'm personally done letting the enemy bait me into guilt or shame over the level of risk that I might be at. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. God knows my heart. I'm ready to grow and stretch wide my tent pegs into new arenas. But I'm going to let myself take out a lion and a bear if that's where I'm at before I hit the Goliath, right? And if you hear, like, again, one of my heroes, Robbie Dawkins, who is like on the streets, healing the sick during Ramadan in, I don't know, it was Pakistan. But if you hear his story and his testimony about where he started and how he started in healing ministry and what God did and his first, how that guy was like squirrel, marmot, raccoon, mountain lion, bear, you know what I mean? He's like, he's been stretched to greater and greater faith, greater and greater risk. The main thing is let's just not sit back in passivity and avoid. If our choice to engage is strategic and saying, I'm not going to do that battle right today, but I am going to do this one, or maybe I'm going to circle back for that battle. Maybe I'm watching something, I'm saying, that's not the hill I want to give it all on today, but I know I have to deal with that hill. So what else do I need to do to get ready to deal with that hill, right? Got it? Got it? So let's see what the next track is. Ooh, some vibes. I don't know, I'm looking for a groove. Beautiful. We could be here all day with the Yellow Jackets. I'm going to go back to track 1 and we'll play ourselves out with Revelation is Here. All right? Please do share this. And if you care, refollow me and all your faves, because chances are your community you have people that have been you've probably been unfollowed and they've unhooked us, my friends. Do something that scares you, even if it's a slingshot and a squirrel or a beaver. I know, don't get all animal rights activisty on me, okay? I'm doing a metaphor. Pepper, how do you like sleeping in these days? Hey, Pepper, people, do you know how many people have been unfollowed in your account? Because Greg got down, he started out at 16,000 and now he's down to 4,000. I had close to 1,500 and now I'm down to 123. I noticed Pepper, you're way down. I think Mary Grace is way down. So we got to follow, refollow, and follow again. Follow me, says the Lord. And I will make you fishers of men. I will make you fishers of Periscope. You still can't sleep in? I know, I'm kind of missing you at 6, actually. There are mornings when I'm like, oh, I got to wait till 7:30 for Pepper. Pepper must be like snoozing. Okay, this is the song Revelation by Take 6. It's all about revelation instead of religion. Anyways, I love you guys. Follow everybody again. Refollow. Back them up. And I'll see you tomorrow after Dilly's obviously extended Q&A session, because that's what he does on Fridays. Bye-bye.